Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets, interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I am your exhausted host, Kim Wanup. I don't even know how I'm getting this out here, people, because I'm exhausted. Thank goodness for this long holiday weekend. I think it's like the first weekend myself and my crew have had off in about a month. So, yeah. And it's so funny because a couple weeks ago I put on Instagram like, oh, working the weekend. And I feel like there were some comments of like being angry at me for it. But it's not my fault that I have to work the weekend. I don't want to work. I want to be home with my kids. It's what it is. I know so many people who work the weekends in this business. And it's a lot of set deck, and it's a lot of lighting, and it's a lot of, kind of the last people in the domino effect to get things ready to shoot. I'm sure the ADs work every weekend, scheduling. I know the producers don't get days off, really. So this really is an industry, I think, it's always in the back of your mind that you're working. It's been so hot in Los Angeles. We're in a heat wave. And so today I didn't do anything, and I tried not to work all day, and it was great because my brain just cannot turn off from working. We're about to start week 3 of shooting, and we are still introducing new sets every day. And so it's really hard. We are backed up, and we are basically getting sets ready right before they shoot in almost every department, I feel. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot. And I've been down this road before. This seems to be on a bigger scale because everything is new, kind of. Like, all the sets are new. We've like 63 sets that are new and huge. So it's just a tremendous undertaking for every department to get these sets ready. Everyone, grips, electric. I can't imagine costumes getting all these new pieces of it ready and available, and spacesuits and everything. When it comes together, it is miraculous, people. So, I'm completely consumed by my work, though. I've been in at like 6 a.m. I'm working when the kids go to bed at night till probably 11. And so I'm back in that sort of rut of just being consumed by work. So, taking a little bits of breaks out to do this podcast is joy, and hard. It's really hard. So, but I'm trying. I am trying to get these interviews out to you because I love it. What else? The Creative Emmys were this past weekend. So congratulations to all the winners. Last week's episode was Kathleen Felix Hager, and she won for Best Contemporary Costume Design for her work and her team for Hacks. So congratulations to her. I am so happy for her. We worked together on Veep, and she is just so sweet, and such a hard worker. I'm so happy that her and her team have been acknowledged. In 1 hour period, Bob Shaw and Regina Graves won for The Gilded Age. For Contemporary Design 1 hour, Squid Game, Chase Young Sun and Kim Jong-gun the decorator, I believe. Half hour was Only Murders in the Building, production designer Kurt Beach and Rich Murray, decorator. Variety, reality, and competition went to RuPaul's Drag Race. Gianna Costa and Allison Spain, decorator. Variety special Super Bowl halftime show. Production designer Bruce Rogers and decorator Marcia Garcia. So congratulations to everyone. It looked like a hell of a party. It looked like a hot party 2 nights. The Academy posted plenty of pictures and had some fun reels of all the winners and all of the categories. I believe impeachment won for makeup. So congratulations to that team also. I haven't and have not been watching TV. It's been on in the background, but I did do all of What We Do in the Shadows. I did all of it, and now I'm completely caught up, and I'm pissed that I'm caught up. But I'd have to say that production design by Kate Bunch, Shane Fox, and Rob Vincent over the 4 seasons, and decoration by Shane Fox, Kerry Wiley, and Mary Mitchell Williams. I loved it. I keep telling everybody about it too, and I don't even know if I said it on the last week's. I can't even remember if I talked about it already, but it's really funny. So thank you, Dean Holland, for suggesting that and telling me I gotta watch it again. It's been in the background. I'm obsessed with the theme song, and yeah. So if you need a good little laugh, and if you're in for vampires, it's really good. It's on Hulu. So check that out. What else? This last week, The Patient on Hulu with Steve Carell came up, and production designer Patrico M. Farrell and decorator Lisa Sun. It's contemporary. It's like a therapist that gets kidnapped by his patient. That's all I know so far. And it's slow. I think they gave out I watched 2 episodes and not much happened. So hopefully this picks up because I think it's only 10 episodes. The look is creepy, of course. Generic creepy, let's say. But I like it. I'm in because I anticipate something good's going to happen. It's Steve Carell. Something's going to happen. So yeah. Other than that, I didn't write it down, but I did watch the new Game of Thrones. I'll talk about that later. And I did watch the new Lord of the Rings thing on Amazon. So, I don't know. But I'm so tired. I'm not really consuming these things. I'm just watching TV to zone out. I don't even know what happened on Housewives last week. I'm so out of it right now. so yeah. But on this week's episode, that you're going to listen to, I speak with production designer Joshua Petersen. With his new show, Everything's Trash, that's on Hulu, he designs an exciting and fresh look for modern-day Brooklyn, New York. The show centers around a young female podcaster, who is juggling her messy life and her podcasting career. He is originally from Oregon, and Joshua had a passion for drafting at a young age, and then this love for film and TV, and found his way into a career in production design. He has worked on projects such as Marriage Story, Wolf Hour, and recently has production designed that Damn Michael Che sketch show and Life with Beth. So I hope you enjoy.
Best thing about living here.
Yeah. How are you from New York?
No, I'm from Oregon originally.
Oh, nice.
And then I split my time between New York and LA.
Nice. Do you try to take projects in either city, or do you prefer New York?
Most everything shoots here.
Mm-hmm.
So most of what I do is based here. So it's just like a work home base. So I'm out here for work most of the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm starting a new show in a week. NBC for Pete Davidson.
Nice.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Pete
Looking
might be
forward
on
to it.
suicide watch right now. You better you better Poor...
And everybody has sent me that article like 5 minutes after it came out. So
Yeah.
it's like,
that might be a good time to catch him. He might be super focused.
yeah.
I think it'll work out better that he doesn't have that hanging around him, hopefully.
That's just the late summer thing. Everybody breaks up toward the end of summer. So it's, you know.
Yeah. I did like my high school years in like South Jersey, and it is very much that like summer loving, and then like, oh, it's back to school and everybody breaks up and everybody,
Yeah.
all the visitors go back, and yeah, you never know. But just feel bad for all his tattoo artists that have no gonna have to take all those off. What's can you talk about that show, or
I can
you don't
only
have to
say about that much about it.
Yeah, no. I zimmed like so quickly through Everything's Trash because I'm kind of bummed that they're only like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it's like a real like old style broadcast TV show, It's like
Yeah.
short.
They seem to fit so much into the 22 minutes, though. I'm like, whoa, the story really goes, which is so nice, because sometimes the formula gets so slow in each episode and you're kind of stagnant, but it seems to move. How were you approached about this project?
About Trash or about this?
About Trash. Oh, about Trash.
My agent had been working with them for a little bit while I was finishing up on Michael Che's show.
Mm-hmm.
And, the pitch was Freeform wants to do they want to break from the mold. They want to make something that's a little bit visually outside of their mold. They wanted to create something that was like fresh and make something that was like specifically about Brooklyn, that takes place in Brooklyn, and that had like that feel. They didn't want to just have like any sort of like sitcom feel. And the opportunity to do something like that and build a lot of the main sets on stages here was like, I can't say no to it. When I started talking to them conceptually about the design and that they wanted to do something a little bit more involved, I was really excited about it. Particularly like the bar set.
Yeah, the bar set's good.
And that's the biggest set I've built so far. I mean, it's a pretty massive room, and it's based off of a lot of the like dive bars that I hang out in, which are like have a lot of like layered textures and mixes of light, and that are sort of designed and accumulated rather than like concepted out from the beginning. And so an opportunity to do that was like, I couldn't pass that up. I mean, that was such a fun set. It was such a fun build. Getting all of those details in there, like, and same thing with the apartment, being able to design a space using like reflective surfaces, because when I first started talking with Adam McDade, the DP, it was like, we were really excited about being able to do like a natural light and like available light look, single source look that he photographed so beautifully in the show, and like using reflective surfaces on the floors and the walls and everything just for that purpose is like so much fun because it's more natural and allows us to get a little bit more granular with those details. And I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I love that apartment set.
Yeah. The apartment set too, the colors are so vibrant with her personality, and it's like, you definitely know who's living there without her even being in the scene. Like, it's really good. And then that quirky roommate that she has. But The bar to me is, I was like, oh, look at that like collection of colored glass, like glow, like the old school type pendants. I just love those. I'm really I'm in the world myself of, you know, DPs wanting that single source and wanting to light with the practical, and it's becoming such a challenge of lighting falling on set deck, you know, and it's not movie lights anymore, and it's a lot of discussions about, is it LED? Do we own this? Can we take it apart? Is it dimmable? Like, I mean, I'm going through tons of money just in like trying practicals out right now for lighting. Did you have problems with the sources, like, or was it, you know?
I wouldn't say, not problems. I mean, we definitely, my decorator Leo Swartz and we knew that was going to be the thing. Like, I saw Adam's like lighting package, like when we were prepping the show. I was like, show me like what they're like, what are they? Because he like came into my office one day. It's like, they want me to light this show with a match,
right?
And I was like, you know, that's like, and I was like, okay, let's like look and like see, and let's like see what we can do. I mean, obviously we had the discussion about like what our like overall lighting scheme was going to be for the show, and so really, you know, I think with the bar, that being such a large set, you know, it was a little daunting because it's like, we have to fill this with all this stuff. And, you know, there was like just mainly a discussion of like, what can everything in here be a light? And I mean, one of the main bars that we've based it off of is definitely like that. It's this place, Aunt Ginny's in Ridgewood. And that bar is like, I mean, it's like every type of light is all in there. And so really it was just about overbuying.
Yeah, you got like Christmas, you got Christmas twinkle lights, you've got like table lamps, and it is very eclectic and gives that realism feel in there. It's really good, and I think he did a wonderful job, you know, lighting all of it, because the realism is there. It's not like a lamp store. It's what I'm always afraid of. Like, if I'm lighting, if I'm help lighting the actors, I don't want a lamp right next to their head at all times.
Absolutely.
Like, so
you need the light to come from God at some point, because that's what movies are. But
I can't do it. I'm in a real struggle right now with that. So I'm sorry if I'm going off. I'm just like,
no, totally.
Because there's some projects you're on, and it's not really a problem, or it's a discussion, but it's not like I'm just in this world right now where it's like everything is got to be the lamps, and I'm always curious if everyone else is having these problems.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people are, some people aren't. But how many
I've been in situations where I've had to have like a real conversation about like, we're not gonna do that. Like, there wouldn't be a lamp there, or whatever. Those instincts that can sometimes just be like, I need to get light there. Can we just put a table lamp there? And it's like, you can't put a table lamp anywhere.
No.
You know, it's just gets a little weird sometimes. But because I also like, you know, watching like The Godfather or like E.T., and it's like, there's no depth, or in like some like in those shots of like in like E.T., there's a natural light, and there are a bunch of practicals, but they're all off. You know, like, and I like thinking about things that way. But for the bar, I think also we wanted to mix a lot of those like sources. So like we have neon, and we have like old bar signs, like beer signs that we made, and all that stuff had to be custom made. And we did have some issues. We did have to swap one of the neons out, and it's like, if I think it's like noticeable in the show. I mean, I think in the second or third episode,
the orange one,
the pool table, and it's all red.
Right. They're playing
by the pool table, which I loved. And then, you know, we got notes back, and they wanted to sort of knock that down a little bit, and we did. We swapped it out for something that was it's the same like shape and like brand of like beer. It's a beer, but we swapped it out to like a more like vintage style
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it. I mean, I know the scene of the girl when she's talking about like the Architectural Digest, her house, like that. I can picture that one. Now I can't picture the other one, but
yeah,
it happens.
But yeah, it was red. It was red. But I mean, personally, really loved that. Really loved that look.
So you had the bar, the apartments, the podcast office. Was that a build?
Yeah, the studio is the actual sound where they actually record the podcast. But the bullpen was a location, so that was we built that to match that location architecturally in terms of like the concrete columns, the floors.
Do you are you on like a 5-day schedule with this?
Yeah, this is a 5-day schedule. I think our initial sort of plan was like, I think it was 3 days in, 2 days out, like doing like work and all of our street work. I don't really remember if we were able to stick to that.
I don't think so. I mean, the one episode you're like going door to door to people's houses the whole time. I'm like, oh well, this was not a bottle episode.
That was a crazy week. That was one of that was Gillian Robespierre came on to direct that episode, and that was the one that she got, and she was just like, why can't I have like a stage day?
Yeah.
We were just outside. We were trying to fit in like 40 houses into, whatever that montage sequence, just like crazy.
Yeah, whenever I see montage script, I want to kill myself because I know it's a ton of work and it's only on the screen for like 2 seconds. It's like, I know it's storytelling, but it's really hard on the rest of us. But yeah, I found like all of the characters having this like a cohesiveness in their world too, and I'm unfamiliar with New York in a sense of like the boroughs and everything, but I feel like you really nailed down the look and feel of Brooklyn. Like I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I get it, like the cool little neighborhood that they're in and everything. It was really good. It's nice to get outside of like the city and have that like everyday feeling from the sets. It was really good.
Yeah, totally. I that was like something that was, early on is something we get really specific about, obviously. Jaden's character, Jordan Carlos's character, Jaden, is running for office for like the district that sort of dictates where we are. So that kind of like covers, like we shot in almost all that district for all of our exteriors. So the way that it's pieced together is like very natural. I think the relation of where people live to one another is like actually very realistic in terms of where we shot like exteriors to some of our builds and where they all just kind of like dwell, which I thought was great. The bar set itself was like originally the reference in the script was for like Union Hall, which is like indoor bocce and like big bookshelves and all that sort of thing. It was fun to kind of like take that prompt and then like figure out something, new to do with it and create like an original space that combines some of the other like influences that I have and my team has. And
it's funny that in almost every show you do, there's always a cheers. I always think like, oh, here's their cheers, like, and even like you're like, oh, where's their cheers? Like, have they been there yet? Are they like?
Yeah, they need like a central hangout spot where it's like they have to be able to just talk there. That's really what it is. But it's like, we did have like the indoor bocce thing was like scripted, and I think I early on brought up like, so bocce is cool. It takes up a ton of space.
Yeah, and it's low.
But like, and then the way I kind of like repitched just like a pool table and like other like things like sort of like activities in the space. And I was like, the thing about the indoor bocce is it's like, yeah, that's like very accurate and unique, but you're going to have one establishing shot of a bocce ball like hitting, and then for the rest of the show you're going to have background that are just, and everybody's gonna be like, what are they doing back there, like ants, like bowling, and you know, just like not like a very, it's kind of visually like not like the best.
No, and you don't want to do the sliding hockey either, because sound will hate you, and you know, that's why it's always usually pool tables or silent jukeboxes,
rubber balls.
Yeah. But I always find it's nice when you have sets that have that in that, because you're pulling them away from just drinking. You know, they're having action. Like the prop guy usually likes it. Like they get, you know, and it also opens up. They're shooting in a round. You know, trying to get around the table sometimes is not great. But I always like when we have those type of things. Like, oh, if they come over to the bar, here's another opportunity in this bar section to, you know, sell our themes.
Yeah, so. And that was also that was the like challenge of designing that space, is like it has to be like also daytime use. You know, we do have like some great daytime scenes in there where they're like you know, having like more like one-on-one chats and stuff, and it's like great to like see that space lit that way as well. Just with like natural pushes, and then, you know, designing a space that has a bunch of sections so that you don't get visually like languid in there. Like you can, like we could be in there every, like if we had new directors coming in or whatever, it was really important that it's like they can go over into another area, and they're looking back at something that's it's visually different, but it's all cohesive and feels in the same place. And that's like one of those things where when we started doing it, I'm just like, it's like you get worried about being able to pull it off, because it's like doing like patchwork texturing like that. You're just like, is this a bad idea? Like, should I just do something that's like one thing? But I think we pulled it off. I love, you know, like the addition of like the bathroom, like just being able to throw like lots of different color in there. The kitchen that we built, that was the very last week of shooting. It's only in the last episode you actually see the inside of the kitchen of the space. So we built that like addition later. And it was just, you know, it's just fun, like being able to build those little pockets out, and like throughout the season we kind of like fleshed them out, and like, you know, still had like a little bit more room, like where we could add in the kitchen, and it like makes complete sense where it is and like what it looks like. So.
Yeah, and you have your point of reference, like you know where you are, like you can figure out kind of where you are when you're watching it, but it's nice, like you're like, oh, they're over here, they're having cookies in this booth over here, like they're like, you know, so no, it's good. And I'm sure it's a huge, it looks like a huge set. I mean, it
was bigger than my apartment.
That's
sure. I think it was like 80 feet long by like 50 feet wide, essentially. It was like the main footprint of it, and then it's kind of like, you know, compressed into that in different ways, but like it was huge. I mean, when we were like ordering the floor, and Leo was just like freaking out over like, I don't, like one day just like called me, and they're just like, I don't think I have enough furniture for this space.
Well,
and then we got in there, and I was like it'll be fine, and we'll put stuff out, we'll define our little areas. And then once we did that, they were like, oh, I actually have like way too much stuff, so we can like swap this stuff out, so it's great. We have options. We can like set stuff up, pick. But I mean, it was just big. We had a super tight schedule to get it all done.
What was your prep?
For all three of the like 30 days. Like we had we started, and like the builds, we started shooting like 30 days later. It was like,
oh wow,
basically March. So we had a couple weeks of concepting, and then, but I mean, the whole time in prep, I was just like, so we're good on this, right? Like, this is our option, because I have to build it now. So, you know, we just have to like move. But that's my team is like, I don't want them to get too used to it, because I would like to give us more time going forward. But
You never want to get used to it. You're always fighting for more prep time because it only benefits everyone. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't want to work. I just want to have enough time to get my shit done.
Yeah.
How did you get into this? How are you? You're a young production designer, like killing it. How did you get into it?
Thanks. I'm not that young, but I just started. I started assisting. You know, I always had an interest in film. The short long story, I guess, is like when I was in like middle school and high school, I had a shop teacher that did drafting courses. He had worked as a draftsperson, and it was just like this thing that I liked doing. And it was like this little classroom. Instead of taking shop class, you could take this, and we had learned hand drafting and like CAD on like old CAD computers. And you know, he's like, we still have like stayed in touch on like Facebook and stuff. He's of course now retired, but Steve Stankamp. But you know, he taught me that. I didn't know that was going to be like a marketable skill. It was just something I liked doing on like, you know, instead of shop, it was like drawing, right. But like technical drawing. And then like later, you know, I went to college. You know, I studied like screenwriting and design. I took a lot of like fine art classes, sculpture and that sort of thing. And I don't know, they just like all kind of like the storytelling aspect of it, which I think was what I was always drawn to. That's like what I always wanted my job to be as a kid. Was like, I don't really know what that means. I just wanted to like, I just knew that I had a knack for that and that I really loved it and was very passionate about it. And so those things just combined. When I was in college, I started assisting other designers and having like all of a sudden like this skill that I had learned as a kid come back into like this being right. This thing is like, oh, you can draft. Oh, holy shit! Like, can you do like pre-bids on this? And so like that was very helpful, and it was very helpful for when I started doing like lower budget stuff because I could pre-visualize stuff, and that allowed me to have more like constructed elements in my work, which is really like where I've always like thrived. I think I really love building. I love building things so like they look like a location, which is the backwards way of doing it. But I like that when you do that, you get to exert all of that control. Oh, yeah. You get to control all those details. And so that was kind of my way in. Was, you know, it was like knowing how to build a flat, being able to do it myself for too many years, you know, like doing very low budget things that could not afford a build, but that I was like, I'll make it happen. Yeah. And that was, you know, just how I kind of put my resume together, my portfolio together.
That's awesome. I mean, the passion of everyone who seems to get into this business is really the driving force of like, I just did it. I didn't care. I didn't get paid. I just wanted to learn that job. I just wanted to work with that designer. I just, you know, yeah. It really is. And we all learn while we're doing it. That's really, I think, one of the most amazing things you have.
Well, none of us, I mean, yeah. One of the things too, I just, because we don't have like, you can't go, they don't teach it in film school, you know, so like your route into it is always like fine art. Like a lot of us are fine artists that, you know, found this thing or developed a bunch of like skills that are like relevant, and then you like see A Clockwork Orange and you see the first like bar in there and you're like, oh, who does that job?
Yeah.
Like I want to do that, you know, and then that's how you figure it out. And it's so common. Yeah. We hardly ever do we have like the same story like getting into it. But
that is why I always ask people like, how did you get into this? No one has the same path. I mean, I'm just like you. Like I didn't know what these jobs were, but I knew I wanted to try to be a part of it. I didn't know like that there's like 30 different titles in an art department. I mean, you can read the credits, but you can't really distinguish like what the job actually is. So yeah. It is, but it's drive. You gotta have some drive, and you gotta have, yeah. And not, I mean,
to be a little mentally ill. And
yeah.
A little, like, yeah. Just a little bit like,
masochist.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was life with Beth?
Life in Beth was great. That show came out of nowhere. It was like so great I woke up one morning. I was like in Los Angeles, and I was like really like I was just playing music and like recording music and again, and like I had like not like taken a break, but I had like just said like I'm not gonna like, because it was like post COVID, so I was like I'm gonna go back to being really picky about projects. I'm gonna like not like I'm everything's fine. I can like calm down again, and because I worked like all the way through COVID. I mean, I just was like nonstop. So I was having a little break, and I was just like, I'm not, until the perfect script, like something narrative comes through, I'm just gonna like take it easy for a little bit. And then like the next day, my agent called me, Sonia Costa, and she was like freaking out. She's like, you have to like read this now. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I read these first 3 scripts, and I was like, God damn it, like these are good.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They really spoke to me on a personal level. Having like recently gone through like a family loss, and so it was just, but it was like still being able to find like the sibling dynamic in that is like really, you know, special. The show is just like really hits a lot of notes that I think are unexpected. And so I recognized that right away. And then like I tell Sonia, I was like, fine, like I'll do the call, expecting that I'll talk to the line producer, do the whole circuit, right? And then the line producer is just like, okay, Amy's gonna call you in like 10 minutes. So I was like, all right, I'll put on. And then like I'm sitting there, and so I have had no time to prepare. I have no time to like think about it visually or anything. And I just kind of like started talking about what I had just read and what I felt about it, like emotionally. And we just clicked like right away. And that was really how the show went. Because we had 2-3 weeks of prep on that show, and then 65 straight days of shooting. I mean, it was like so compressed for a bunch of reasons, but then we just had like 65 straight shoot days of that. And that also had a lot of builds, you know, some really like great, like, but Jonathan Formansky and I like really got to design some like really fun shots in that show. And I just think like jumping in with that team of people who have like, they've all been working together for years. And it was just like a very welcoming environment. There was a ton of trust that they gave me, like right from the beginning. I mean, at one point I'm like trying to show Amy like color swatches, and she just goes like, you can just completely trust your instincts because you are always right. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and then you're just like,
I think that's how it used to be. I feel like that's how it used to be. There used to be not 30 people weighing in on the color of the wall. And who, you know, and you go, I always say, well, what color is your house? Like, I always say, like,
exactly.
What are you living with? White walls? Like, what's your, like, so I just always am overwhelmed sometimes with the amount of input that the art department takes on when we're the experts. That's why you hired us.
So, absolutely.
So and that must have felt great.
I'm a bit of a bully about that, but
that must have felt.
That
must have felt wonderful.
Yeah. Oh no, it was great. No, I'm a bit of a bully with that. I remind people a lot that, like, you know, the camera lighting that benefits from being like a little bit more arcane, but like everybody owns furniture.
Right.
So when, you know, so like everybody has opinions. It's even like the same thing as like when you finish dressing a set and it's a hot set and people immediately come in with their tool belts on and sit down on the chair. And it's like, can you like, I'm like, you got to get off the equipment.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is, and it's not like, it's disrespectful. They're not meaning it as like a middle finger to you, but it is just like, we forget that there's the domestic items are like taken for granted because they're.
Yeah. I mean, the whole like video village has to be right next to the actors right now, like now. When it used to be like outside of the set, now they have to set up in the next room, even though you're going to shoot in that next room. Like, there just seems to be a loss, I feel, at least in the last 10 years, of like set respect. And so whenever you're on a project that the people are like, I trust you, this is why we hired you, it's like, oh wow, I get to do my job. And you get to, you know, be respected in a sense more because people are letting you do your job. It's like a wonder, and I'm gonna let you do your job. I'm not gonna come in on the dialogue here. Like, I'm not gonna, you know. But yeah, so that's awesome.
I love working in that environment. It's kind of nerve-wracking in a way because then you're just like, oh wow, like I don't like there's no like check so I can try something crazy. So like, you know, I think on Life and Beth in particular, there was the apartment, Jonathan Groff's apartment in it, which was the hoarder apartment that she goes into, and I was like, I had to, you know, it's like sometimes when you're picking wall colors for all the builds simultaneously, it's like overwhelming. It's like eventually everything just looks the same to me, and I can't think of it color anymore. Right. And that was one of those last ones that everybody was like, my assistant art directors and my art director was like, so can we get the color on that wall? And I was like, I like picked some stuff, and then I was like not feeling it, and then I like woke up one morning and I was just like, oh, it needs to be brick red. I think it just needs to be red. And like I just think that the whole house should just hit your eyes like a train, like a freight train, and everything should just be like pulled in, and it should just be chaotic. And my charge scenic was just like, that's a bold move, but okay, I'll do it. You know, I was like, I think it's gonna work, and it was just one of those things that like I just had to see it eventually, you know, to do it. It's tough when there's no time to test it out or have any time to like marinate on an idea. But that was just a show that I think all those things really came together. It was tough with so little prep. As soon as you start shooting, like it becomes very hard to like keep the ship straight, you know. But my team was really strong on that 65 straight days of like a palette that I barely concepted out and like holding that together conceptually, and I think that we nailed it. And so I'm very proud of that work. I really love that show. It means a lot to me.
Well, I think what the show conveys visually is that it's very natural. I mean, even though you're going like period back and forth, it's very like even shot like a little old schoolish. Like it makes you feel like you're really in this person's memories and you're really like you're really there. It's done so well. I mean, I love, you know, Amy Schumer's awesome. So yeah, you can't go wrong, kind of. You know, even with Red, you can't go wrong. I mean, you know, especially if you trust your DP, especially if you trust like, hey, I'm doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Formansky's great. That guy is, I mean, wonderful to work with. He's great collaborating.
You've done a couple films also. I saw only the preview for Can You Keep a Secret, but do you prefer films or do you like the rush of TV?
I think this has like been my first like year in television. I had always wanted to try it for these types of projects that are a little bit more like narrative in scope. I always liked the idea of like, you know, what is the design process like for like Mad Men? You know, like like creating like arcs, like design arcs that play out so slowly like that. I, of course, always wanted to you know, stick my teeth into something like that. And but I think films just feel different, and I've really enjoyed working on television. The pace is so much different, but it's like, you know, like movies just have like a very special, it's like everything gets to be really, really special special. So I love that process of really sweating those details.
Yeah.
And sometimes in television, you just have to fill the montage sequence.
Yeah.
You know? And that's and that part of it is like, it's a little bit of a bummer, but it's like we're well practiced in that type of like, that's what you learn in the commercial world. That's what you learn in like sketch comedy. Anytime we can't be super precious about something. And I think it's important to always be able to release your like your need to be really precious about something. I think it's important to be able to let that go.
Yeah.
So you will lose that stuff in the last second when, they're like, let's just take that out of the shot really quick. And you're like, that was the one thing that I wanted. Like you took the last thing away from me. Yeah. And we all experienced that. But am really looking forward to like digging back into film. I think my team is also really hungry for it. So it's this sort of thing where it's like, I honestly love like tears, because I think that you make some of your best work in that format. Like I love making indie movies. It's like so much fun. It's really hard and frustrating.
It's really hard.
You can just make amazing stuff. Yeah. That's where we really get away with it, I would say.
Was it, I've never done a sketch comedy show. Is there and you've done the Damn Michael Che show. Is it hard? Are there a lot of changes like in the day of, like with this sketch, like, oh, now we need this because we were going to improvise this sort of. And so like, can the set provide us with this? There's a lot of last minute stuff with that. Yeah.
It's a writer's world. So, my thing is like, I love comedy. I love sketch comedy. Always been a big fan of that. I've always anticipated what that workload would be like, and you can read a lot about it when you read about like SNL, like, over the years or whatever. But when it's like the writer's world, it's like a lot of times those scripts aren't like done. It's like we don't really know what that's going to be. Comedy is like something you have to let flow. You don't, if you just try to like time everything out, you might miss something. So you have to give lots of space for like just that type of creation.
So you're just given an outline for like, oh, they're in an apartment. Like, is it like that?
Yeah, so we have the script. Right. We know what the script is, but then it's like a game of like anticipating what anything else could be here and just like having it, or like really trying to like, just constantly checking in about that. Like, is there anything else that's coming up? It's like everybody kind of like, and that, Aisha Rakadia, the line producer on that, is so good at that. I mean, she just is like, anytime the script changed or it was mentioned and I wasn't in the room or something, like I got that text message like any time of night, like, hey, by the way, this is changing.
Yeah.
Any ideas? And then it's just like, you just come up with stuff, And so you have to be very adaptable. And you can't be precious because everything's going to be on screen for 20 seconds and that's it. So you do what you can.
Was that also like a 5-day shoot each episode? Or was it just a collection and then they edited together as episodes? Like, we were a little all over the place on that one. So it's like every day, it's like you have to shoot like 2 sketches a day. Mm-hmm. And so not necessarily knowing where those are going to fall in the episodes, but we just schedule around that. It's crazy in terms of the location work that we did. We did have some stage work on that. But the locations, I mean, we were just bouncing around all sorts of places, and you're shooting school for hospital and hospital for prison and prison for, school, whatever. And so that's just kind of the cycle with that. It's like you have to just be able to pick like a room where it's like, well, I can do something with this corner. Yeah.
But we can't see anything else other than that, you know.
Promise me we won't see anything else.
Yeah.
Do you, in any of the projects you have, do you have a ritual that you start with? Like, do you like start obviously like with the script, but then I take, I start to sketch, or I start to just focus on research? Like, is there a ritual to how your process starts with a project?
I think the first thing that I do, yeah, is I give myself like time to just like meditate on it, and like, and then as much as I can, time that is just completely separate from it. Mm-hmm. One thing that typically tends to happen is I've been like collecting reference images, or like just visuals that are like striking to me in whatever way, and I'm kind of constantly collecting those. And somehow it always seems to work out that I'm like 3-4 months before a project that I really care about happens, like that those things have like appeared somehow.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of like I just reorganize them, bring them out, like move them over. And that's usually like color and tone. And I think after that, yeah, I start sketching like certain things that come to my mind. But my process is very, I'm very like psychology outward. I don't design necessarily, I mean, I would love to do this, but like I don't necessarily design like, this is going to be red and this is going to be maroon or whatever. I don't like color block. Like, I don't start with that. I start with the characters, who they are, and I really dig that. And I love that process. I love being able to do that. I love thinking about it as like from a performance standpoint and anticipating what that environment would be and why. And a lot of reading. I think more so like text than visuals like comes into play in my like research process, and because I think at the end I want to start with just my imagination, and not necessarily matching reference images.
Right. Right.
It depends on the timing.
Sometimes sometimes a visual influence is too much, and then you get stuck on it, and then you're married to this, like you were saying, like let go. And sometimes if you do let it go early on, but it's influential, then you can build on that. And yeah. I am like that also. It's like, I saw that, but
I don't want to see the pilot. I don't want to see the film version of it.
I'm with you. I don't like. I forget what I was. I mean, I'm joining a show on their 4th season, and so I watched the 3rd season, but I didn't I don't want to take this all in because I don't want to duplicate it in any way. Yeah. Even though I know I have to stay true into the thread of the characters, I still like, I don't want to watch it. I don't listen to other podcasts. Except for everything's trash. I don't.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the influence, I just feel like I don't want to subconsciously be copying something. I don't know how, like I would let myself do that or something.
Which is hard because that's where all of our ideas are coming from. They're coming.
I know. I know. But then you see a lot of things like, ooh, I got to remember not to do that.
Yeah, totally.
If you could design any project, anytime, any era, do you have any like anything TV or film?
Yeah, it changes all the time. It's such a hard question because it really does change. I get these like cravings for like how fun would it be to do like a turn of the century period piece or whatever. I love doing period work because it's like most of what I've done is most of the period work that I've done is like times that I have a memory of, which I love because that is my like biggest asset as a designer is like is just my memory. I have good access to and recall for stuff, and so like doing the 90s was like a cakewalk, and it's like you just, even getting it supplemental research material, like getting the Sears catalog from 1992, and like having, and just know, like I know where everything is in that Sears catalog because I used to just lay on my floor and read it, like right. But going back through it, it's just like it re-jogs, and I like getting into that headspace of like, today I get to spend half of my day just reminiscing over the 90s. And I would love to do that with, there's a whole, I think at the end of the day, I would say I would want to do like Blade Runner, that's like it's a nostalgic world, but it's a fully fleshed out world. And it's like that, I would love to do something that's like inventive in that way. Yeah. And I love sci-fi. We did a little bit of that on Che. I built a time machine on Che, and that was like the one big thing that I was just like, I love like drawing this and just creating like a room for it that's like weird and something that's like not, part of this like a sketch show necessarily, like right. Where you have to invent it.
Yeah, sci-fi. When you're creating a whole new world and out of no reference, it just is like, exciting and really hard because there's so many questions that come up, and like I never realized how many questions, because my dream job would be like a Star Wars. I would just die to do a Star Wars. I think that's like,
oh, absolutely,
that's my ultimate. So yeah, but then there's so many.
I keep doing all these Disney projects. I'm waiting for like,
I know.
I want Dana Wald to notice me and like, give me a shot. I'll do like, Star Wars is another thing I just do from memory. Come on, it's like that would be so fulfilling.
I know. I can't think. I think it's like Gone with the Wind, Star Wars, Godfather, E.T. Like, I think those things like have like such influence on me in different genres and different times and everything. So to get things like that, but like Star Wars, I don't know how you're not influenced by that, or Blade Runner too, like that type of like design. I think that has to have influenced a lot of us in getting into this. Yeah. Did you just turn off the sun over there? What happened?
I know. It's like a thunderstorm.
Oh. So I was like, oh, what time is it over there? Is he?
No, the sun did go up. It's like the sky is black. It's just like,
oh,
not the sun's not down yet, but it's just like
it's gonna pour.
Very
well, I've taken up an hour of your Sunday. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah, if you're in LA. It's funny, I really do kind of love to just meet people. I love to work a room. And so it's awkward when I kind of just, Zoom with someone I don't know, and I just start talking and trying to make them comfortable into a conversation. And I do find that with most of us talking about our work and everything, it is comfortable. And I was fairly comfortable with Joshua. He was super nice to talk with. And I really like fresh perspective, I feel like. I really liked his points of view and his design and talking about his shows. And Everything Trash, I zipped through. I swear they're like 20 minutes long. It was pretty good. So if you get a chance, it's on Hulu. And I do love seeing like the designs of New York and LA, and how we're evolving in modern day. So I think he captured it really well. So I'm sure we'll be seeing more from him. And he said he has that Pete Davidson thing, and then he did mention too, I think, Life with Beth season 2 is coming up. So we'll be seeing a lot more of him. So thank you, Joshua Petersen, for being on the podcast and giving me some time. I really enjoyed speaking with him. And next week, I speak with production designer Neil Patel, who is currently in South Africa. So number one, we had to get our time zones correct to speak. He is currently doing his Showtime's miniseries Shaka Zulu, but he just finished the Pretty Little Liars. It's like a reboot. I don't know if it's murder. It's not like a reboot. It's like same concept, different era. And it was good. It's like horror and it's creepy and his designs really lended to it and the lighting was fantastic. He's also the production designer of Dickinson. That's on Apple TV, which is so brilliant and so fun to watch with as we talk a lot about wallpapers and everything. So that is next week. And then hopefully the week after, I'm going to get with James Pierce Conley and we're going to recap the Emmys. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if we can fit it into our schedule. I gotta call him up. So James, if you're listening, try to set that up. So I hope you got an earful. I am Kim Monup for Decorating Pages. Float into fall on your Stogie Floaty luxury pool float. Available now on Etsy.com and StogieFloaty.com.
Welcome to Pro Tips for the Pros, brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads. In this series, we'll explore essential advice for professional contractors to deliver outstanding renovation results. Let's dive in. Prioritize quality craftsmanship and materials to deliver results that exceed the customer's expectations. Attention to detail and superior workmanship will leave a lasting impression and ensure customer satisfaction. Thank you for joining us for this pro tip on planning thorough renovations. Stay tuned for more expert advice brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads.
A lot of people tolerate ordinary. Ordinary bathrooms, kitchens, entryways. Well, not on your watch. If you're a pro, you've got a new partner in town. Floor & Decor. From tile to wood to stone, Floor & Decor has more styles and job lot quantities of Schluter, Mapei, Laticrete, and other brands pros trust. Come see a whole new way to wow with Floor & Decor. Coming soon to Bailey's Crossroads.